All right. Well, it's March 13th. No, March 12th. We'll get that right eventually.
It's the 13th.
Is it 13?
Yes, it is the 13th.
Oh, damn it. He's gonna use your glasses.
It's
Oh.
the 13th. It's Ava's birthday.
Okay, March 13th. Okay. So,
What about March 15th?
well, the day, the date,
Today's
the date
Sunday,
today.
March 13th, 2016 at 4:30.
Okay, it's 4:30. Okay.
Question.
All right. Well, it's not question and answer. It's anyway. It's 2016, March 13th, and I'm 53, and you're 83, correct?
82 and a half.
82 and a half. You make 83 this year. Okay. Yeah, because I thought that I was born when you were about 30. So you had made 30 shortly after I was born then. Okay. What can you tell me? What can you maybe some things I don't know about when you were a child, or things about your parents or grandparents that you remember?
Maybe I'll tell you about the ones I remember. My great grandparents, great grandfather Blanchard, mama's side, papa's side, was 96 when he died.
Papa's side.
Papa's side, which would be his mama's daddy.
Oh, they were Blanchards also?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I knew Blanchards on the side of Grandma.
That's right, but that's after.
Oh, okay.
Um, that's all right. That's my wife passing through. Grandpa, daddy's brother, daddy's daddy was, I think, 60 something when he died. He had a stiff leg from hitting his, and that reminds me because of my knees right now. He had hit it with an axe and had lost the function of his knee. Grandma, she got 82, I think, when she died. Daddy's mama. I'm not going on your side. And Papa was mostly occupation.
Whatever you.
Papa was mostly a woodsman. Then his retiring days, all of his life, then his retiring days, he worked on with the Chapelari Levy Board. I mean, the Food Levy Board. He had a bad time and broke his foot when he worked at the sugar refinery. Broke a foot. Anyway, he made good on putting me through school until I didn't want to go. And then 11th grade, I quit. Later on, went to work for Freeport Sulphur in Fort Sulphur, Louisiana, working on the boat roads in mud up underneath my, breaking ice, mud up underneath my armpits. And I said, Dad, got to be something better than that. So I joined the Air Force in April of 53. 10th of April of 1953, I remember. You want to know my days in there?
Oh, yeah. 53 would have been
Started off,
after World War
53.
II was all done. And
went to San Antonio for basic, and after that went to Chanute, Illinois for training, aircraft electrical accessories repairman. After that, graduated from that, went to Houston, Ellington Field, worked on the T-29s, and I went to school on the F-80, but never worked on it. But it was all electrical, the same all over the place. And met Joanne there after I got to be a Airman First Class. Then transported, I was reassigned to Savannah with Strategic Air Command. She came with me. She should have stayed making $500 a month at the bank. She didn't. So we existed on my pay. Staff, by that time, I had made staff sergeant. Went to City Slimane, Morocco in 56. Yeah, stayed there 2 months, TDY, and then came back. And then I got out of the Air Force in 57. I decided I didn't want to go that, and eventually, after there, that was a good decision because financially it's better that I didn't stay in. Because I had an opportunity to check with a retiree that had made 30 years in there, and I would have got out about the same time he did in 83, and he was only making $1,800 a month retirement pay. So that was a good decision I made, not knowing too much. But after the Air Force, went to Houston and worked for Reed Roller Bit for 8 months, doing machinist work, which I didn't like, but it pays good. I stuck with it till they laid me off. They laid off 1,500 people that day. They had 2,000 before, working on oil field equipment. And after that, went to work for Joanne's uncle, Floyd, got me on with Sears working as a lawnmower repairman. He was a good man, good person. I hated to leave there, but I wanted to come back to Louisiana. 2 years of dry grass and promotional mowers that came down to $29 a month didn't help me out on my lawnmower business. So here comes Shell Baybear, said the sheriff would like to talk to you if you want to become a deputy sheriff. So, yeah, I did. Went 1964. Stayed by 66. I'm still there. Times were hard. Had a hard time making ends meet. They didn't pay but $300 a month. Here come Ruben Tittertal and Yebe Rivera. Met me at the Mercury place where Albert Oakman had that business. He says, "Boo-boo," that's how he talks. He said, "Boo-boo," he says, "you like what you're doing, deputy?" I said, "Yeah." "Does it pay well?" He said, "No." I said, "No." "What do you know how to do else?" I said, "I don't know. What do you want? You know how to pipe fit?" "Pipe fitter?" I said, "No, never done that." He said, "Well, what do you know?" He was a pipe fitter. That's why he was asking that. In the Union, in Baton Rouge. I said, "I was like aircraft electrician on the B-52, the last one I worked on." That's all I heard that day. 2 nights later, I get a call from Nick Taylor with the superintendent at Dow. He said, "Ruben tells me you're a good man and you know how to work electrical." I said, "Look, I don't know what Ruben told you, but I said he's full of bull all the time." Anyway, he says, "Go to the hall, 1995 Electrician Union. There's going to be a permit, a referral for you to go to work." And he says, "I'll pick you up at the gate at Dow when you come in." Well, I went over there and I got it. Got in the truck with him. I told him, I confessed to him. I said, "Nick, I ain't never been in a plant. I ain't never done no electrical work other than on the airplane." He said, "Yeah, but you know the basics, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I tell you what, if you don't measure up within 30 days that I see you, I'm going to tell you you need to go." He said, "If you don't like it, though, you feel you don't want to stay," he said, the parting will be mutual. That's good." Well, I made 21 years on that Nick Taylor. But was it 3 or 4 years ago we had that flood scare over here?
Yes.
They thought we'd be inundated. He calls me up. I ain't seen him all these years now since '66. I worked with him 6 months. Calls me up. You Jerry Landry, electrician? I says, yeah. He said, this is Nick Taylor. Oh, I said, man, I'm glad to hear from you. He said, I'm calling about because I hear there might be some severe flooding in your area, and if you are inundated, he says, I've got a lot of place for you and your extended family to come and stay in Baton Rouge for as long as you need to. I said, man, you know what you're doing, Nick? I said, that's almost unbelievable. I said, I really appreciate that, but we're okay.
You
Thank
must
you.
have made an impression on him.
No, you talk about something. So, anyway, we didn't need him, but I just wanted to have to say that about him. That's a big thing in my life. And I ended up in the union. One of my last jobs, I remember Bob, I got to say that about Bob Reisner, not Bob Reisner, but Bosley. I'm working in the crew on the cooling towers out there at Big Cajun. And Gary, you know that.
Yep.
He says, all of us been working there. So he says, Jerry, I'd like you to take over the foreman job over there. I said, I don't want to be foreman. After the fifth time he comes back and says, I ain't asking you no more. He says, if you don't take it, I'm going to kick your butt out of the crew. You going. He didn't mean that because we knew each other real good. He was joking. Okay, Bob, I'll take it. But he said, why don't you want it? I said, I'm not proficient in everything of the electrical trade. I said, one of the things I'm weak in is control work. He said, is that all? I said, yeah. He said, I'm going to give you whatever you need, people you need to do the job with. Would you take it then? I said, yeah. He did. A month and a half on the first cooling tower would come out ahead. The second one was 3 months ahead. Made the man money. So I'm proud of that. I'm not going to talk about Eric Guillaume and that woman. You know about them.
Yeah, well, now that you said something, you got to explain that, or everybody's going to be wondering what that's about.
A woman apprentice working with a man that had paired them off with on my crew while I was foreman. She turned out to be an electrician. She was doing fine before. Once she turned out, she sat on her butt and let the man do all the work, and I couldn't have that. So they left for 3 weeks on an overtime job. They came back after 3 weeks, and they wanted to come back with me. And Bob was my general foreman, and Bob said, you need to take him back. I said, I'll take him back, but I don't want her. Jerry, there's going to be some problems. I said, hey, I can't do your job if she sits on her butt, unless she's changed. So I told him, I said, keep him away from me. Here come the man with the steward. Steward stayed outside because he knew that wasn't none of his business. But he was there to scare me, I guess. Eric Guillaume, the man, came in my shack. He said, Jerry, why don't you want to take us back? I said, I'll take you back. I don't want her. Man, Jerry could have some repercussions on that. He said they could blackball you at the hall. I said, let her rip. I know where I stand on this. Well, he left, slammed the door and left. About 6 months later, I go to the hall at a meeting. He's there. He comes straight across the hall from me. Shake his hand, my hand. Man, I said, what the heck going to turn out now? We talked, just small talk. I had found out that the woman had cleaned him out. His wife had divorced him and everything else.
Yeah.
So I knew where I stood. He knew they did too. So in the meantime, I kept up. I was part-time with the sheriff's office after '66. The sheriff asked me to stay on as a assistant chief deputy to look over Pierport area. He had a lot of green people he said he had on. He wanted me to oversee them, so I did that. Then about 2.5 years later, he demotes me because I wouldn't follow the line on politics, which meant he said I raided one of his best supporters at the ballroom. I was getting complaints on kids from their mamas about kids drinking at the place. And I didn't raid him. I just took notes. He threw the report in the garbage can and said, you're a good deputy, but you don't understand politics. I said, told him, thank you. He says, you can come back at part-time if you want to. I said, I'm going to take off some time. I took off 2 months. Came back later as part-time. I'm glad I did. I just made enough time to get over the 12-year period that you need to get your pension. Then he went out. He finished. He retired. I didn't wish to go with the next sheriff, which was Falterman. I don't like him. He stayed in. Then he made his 12 years, and then Tom came in. I went to work for him, Tom Mobile, for 9 years.
Now you had worked with him before.
Huh?
Isn't he one of the green
Yeah,
deputies?
Tom used to work for me before when I was assistant chief deputy. And when he hired me working for him after he'd been a trooper for 20 years, he said, payback is hell, and Jerry. Well, yeah, well.
Let's go back to you said several green deputies. I know some of those guys you wound up becoming real close to later in life.
Yeah, but it's mostly part-timers that I'm close to, like Hubert Measures was here today.
Yeah.
Gerald Boudreau, still a friend, very close. The others not so close.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of incidences that happen, but they're no use to going into that too much. That happens a lot in politics. When Tom came, before he come on, he said, I'm going to be sheriff because Falterman is going to retire and he's going to make me chief deputy. But about a year later, I'll have to win my own election. He did. And then he brought me on. But at the time he told me he was going to be sheriff, I said, Tom, I said, what? But he told me, he said, I want you for chief deputy. I said, Tom, it ain't going to happen. Not with the crew you going in with. I said, that ain't going to happen. I said, the man already said, don't hire me because I'm political suicide. I said, what do you think that means? That means I don't follow the line. It was that. But he finally hired me. Watched my back. I watched his back the whole time, but he wasn't listening. Anyway, he only stayed 9 years. And then he lost the last election. I don't want to go into all that nasty stuff. Why? I know why.
So when he got out, you got out too?
He got out and I got out too. And I officially retired again. That had started, I retired when Sheriff Falterman took over. I didn't go with him. So I had to do something. I had to retire.
So how old were you when that happened?
With Falterman?
When you
Murray
finally
retired?
retired? No, when Mr.
That
Mr.
was
Tom,
75.
No, when Mr. Tom left.
Oh, 2000.
2000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tom retired. Tom lost out in 2000. So we both officially retired, and he went to work for Craig Weber and the Sheriff Weber in Thibodeau, and then I didn't do nothing no more. I retired. That's it. I retired with a pension with the union, IBW, with the NEBF fund with the union.
So you were 68.
And the local.
You were 68 when you retired.
Yeah. No, 83. I believe I retired 83 from the hall.
Oh, no, I was talking about when you retired from the sheriff's office. Your last
That was
full
60.
job.
I was about. No, that was 75. because Murray quit at 75, and I stayed on with him until
No,
the last
not
day.
not the year. I'm talking about your age.
Oh, I don't know.
So
I
you
don't-
you were 60. You said it was year 2000 that Mr. Tom got out, and you got out with him.
I was 66, I guess. You're right, around there.
In 68. Yeah.
Because I had to, in order to get the state subsistence pay, I had to go through the academy, which I had never done before.
Mm-hmm.
In the old days in '64, when I came on, they gave you a badge and a uniform, and that's it. So I went through the academy in Thibodeau and made it. By the hardest, I couldn't bend. That's when my knee problem started.
Yeah, you were in your late 50s then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't bend down on one knee to shoot from the side.
Yeah.
That's when it started happening.
Okay, so we covered the professional part of it. Let's get a little more on the personal side, and this is, I guess, directed more toward me.
Well, with the sheriff's office, Tom made me 8 months before he lost the election, which was before 2000. He made me chief of staff without no authority because he would not remove his nephew from between me and him. So I didn't show no authority to the crew. But anyway, I don't regret nothing of that. I did what I had to, and I did it. And I don't regret it.
Yeah. Well, let's back up. You talked some about when you moved back to Pierre Part, and that would have been in 1962.
Yeah, we came back in February of '62.
Okay. And then I was born in November that year.
And boy, with $750 in money, in cash, and an old truck and a trailer that I had made to make the trip here, and we rented a truck to haul the lumber that Uncle Enoch, Mike's brother, had sold me for $205 that we built the shop with. Can you imagine? Yeah. So built the shop, and of course, going back to that, like I said, promotional mowers came in at $29, and in 2 years of dry weather, there ain't no grass cutting, and nobody breaks that mower with an engine.
Yeah.
So that was the end of that. Good thing Shelby Bear come out with that. See, Bird like to talk to you.
Yeah. So we covered with Mama the my early years. So she says that I wanted to touch everything when I walked through places. I know you had a story that you like to
Yeah.
tell about that.
But between you two brothers, you and Larry, I gotta say this: Larry is the engineer, and you're the maintenance man. Larry's not a maintenance person too much. You are, but Larry is into the engineering. There's nothing wrong with that. You each got your specialty. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Like the washing machine. Larry looked at it, but I advanced further than he did into it, deeper into it. And we come out with, it's not taken away from either one. It's just adding on to it.
Well, one thing people asked me when they said, how do you learn how to work on this or work on that? I always tell them, I say, well, my dad, by the time he called somebody to work on something that he had tore it up to the point where it needed somebody else to work on it.
Yeah.
But more often than not, he would have figured out how to fix it.
And today I still take apart, I debone stuff. I call that deboning any equipment, everything goes in my shop. If anything goes wrong with it, I'll debone it to the last piece to see how it works. And I keep all the screws in there. That's why I don't go to the hardware store often. So,
I know the boys. They laugh at some of the stuff I keep, and I keep them on the shelf.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes too much.
yeah, it's sometimes too much. But you know, as soon as you round it up and throw it away, you're gonna need it the next week.
I had to laugh the other day. I gotta say this. I'm working on the dryer. The belt that comes with the dryer on a Kenmore is made of plastic, soft plastic,
Hmm.
on that particular model. It kept breaking on me, so I went to the belt place in Port Allen, and I brought the old belt, and I got a V belt, a small one that would fit in the grooves of that small pulley.
Mm.
It worked. But the only thing that don't work is that the bushing on the blower gets worn a certain amount after a time. All these years, it's an old dryer. So put it together. Larry goes to try it out. Crink, crink, all kinds of noise. Man, I don't know. Shouldn't even fool with that, he said. Wait a minute, I know how to fix that. And I said, when the belt pulls hard,
Hmm.
it don't give as much as that plastic one. And the wear on the bushing made it go scratch against the housing. I said, take the blade, the rotor out of it. I'm gonna fix it. I got on the bench, on my bench sander,
Hmm.
ground off a 1/4 inch on the tip of the blade. No more noise.
Yeah.
Work.
Yeah.
The dryer's good.
Yeah.
So that's an example that I've learned that from taking things apart, from looking at things. When you used to take a phone apart and I had to put it back together sometime, that's how you learn how to take. That's just an example.
Yeah. Well, I remember working on some of the cars with you.
Yeah.
Just
And we built that. We rebuilt Debbie's car.
Yeah.
Remember that?
yeah.
Two halves put together. We rewelded the frame and everything.
That was
And everybody was wondering, how are we going to keep that thing straight? Well, there was a way to figure it out. We did it. The car tracked good, no problem, no more
Yeah.
after that.
that was a 1978
Yeah.
Cougar XR7,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was able to buy a '79 body from Kenneth Saint-Germain.
Yeah.
And then we took the body off of the frame, and the frame, one half, the way Ford made them, they slid together,
Yeah.
so you're able to take them apart, and we used a good half of each frame,
Yeah.
put it together, and then pieced all, and then several times I looked at two pieces from two different cars and decided, okay, which one do I want to use? Which one looked better? So it wound
Yep.
up being a hybrid, but it was really a good car. I really enjoyed that one while I had it. I kept it several years after that.
When you don't have the money to get past that and have to go to a new one, you have to do that.
They say that with every guy, there's a car that they had that they wish they had never gotten rid of, and for me, it's that car, that '78 Cougar. For you, what car would it be? Do you ever have a car that you said that you wish you had never gotten rid of it?
Well, the '69 Chevrolet Ford station wagon.
Yeah. Most people it would be a sports car or something, but your
No.
favorite was the wagon, huh?
That was the best vehicle we ever had.
Yeah.
And Debbie got rear-ended on it. They only gave me $750 on it.
Mm.
So I decided we could use it a little longer. So I put some skids on the back so the bumper
I
wouldn't scrape
remember
the
that.
floor of the road.
I remember that. Used it to go back and forth to work.
Yeah, me and Larry used it as a work truck on the job.
Then we took that engine out when that body finally gave way and put it in the 75 Ford truck
Yeah,
that we had. The engine had gone bad in it.
yeah, that was a bad motor in that truck.
Oh, but that 390 from that station wagon in that truck was quite a.
When I brought that
Quite a
thing
horse.
to a sudden scrap, I almost cried. And I still got the transmission for it.
Yeah,
I'm about to get rid of that thing sometime.
yeah. That was an FMX transmission.
That was a good combination.
Cast iron cast iron body on that one, where they mostly all aluminum now. But that one
The
was
what?
cast iron. That body on that transmission, that FMX, is a cast iron. I
Yeah.
remember that.
It is.
That was a sought after transmission at the time.
But that's the station wagon we made the trip to the West Coast on. Remember that?
Yeah.
We stopped at every state capital on the way with the state we passed through, even if it was at night.
We had talked to Mama about the time when I was 6, when I had the neuroblastoma and went in the hospital, and you were trying to interject a story there.
Yeah, friend Albert Oakland gave Gary a wallet, and he says what you do with that is every time somebody come in this room, he says open it up and tell you put some money in there, and you did. How much money you come out of that?
I think it was $56. Yeah,
Albert was
I
a
remember
long-
Mr. Albert was a character.
Albert was a long-time friend from the time I was 6 years old until about 6 years before he died. I kind of pulled away from him because I didn't like what he was doing. I didn't want to go into that. But he died of cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah. After he had been in that bad burn in the 70s. He lost 2 kids and a mechanic of his shop. That was bad.
Yeah, I can remember that. I was young, but I can remember the 2 boys. They were both older than me. They were, if I'm not mistaken, one of them was a teenage, another one was preteen.
Yeah. Thomas asked me, what's the matter with you and Albert? I said, Tom. And I related to him what I saw was going on. I think Albert was losing it. And I said, there's nothing wrong with me and Albert. I said, we're not enemies, and I just pulled back. Just don't associate no more with him too much. I went to visit them every once in a while. I didn't cut that out.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about some of your closest friends. One guy that we haven't talked about yet, and that is especially dear to me, is Floyd Eskine.
Floyd and I were raised together. From, I guess, his mama lost his daddy when Floyd was about 3 years old, I think. And she moved over here with Grandma and Grandpa, my mom and daddy, I bet daddy's mom and daddy, to the house not too far from right here, from now. And I was always over there, or he was over here. And I don't want to go into her life too much. She was good to me. She's good to everybody, really. She had a hard time.
Talking about Aunt Alta.
Huh?
Aunt Alte.
She took care of her brother would come in from the dredge boat once every 30 days. She took care of my great-grandpa, her mama's daddy. Took care of Floyd. She took care of her daddy and took care of her mama. That woman had a load on her. Never forget that.
I remember
And
she
Floyd went in the Air Force like I did. Met a girl in Germany. Came back, brought her back with him. They eventually had 3 kids. One of them he lost, got murdered on, never could find who it was. The daughter, the oldest daughter. Then they divorced him and his wife.
That was
He
Denise.
remarried.
Denise was the daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Denise was the daughter. And he remarried Martha. And they together until he died, but I don't know how long ago, 3 years ago? 4 years?
I think it's a few more than that, but I don't remember the exact year.
I remember Aunt Alta telling me when they were gonna get divorced. Come up, she called me over there. I go over there. Jerry, we gotta go over there to Floyd's house. I said, what for? What's going on? She said, they're getting divorced. She said, I want you to do something. I said, Okay, we'll go, but I don't think I can do too much about it. Pull Floyd aside. Your mama come with us. Pull Floyd aside when we got over there. Floyd, what's going on? I didn't know nothing about this. He explained some things. I said, well, your mama wants me to fix y'all up. That's how we talk. I can talk to him like that. Yeah, you can't fix that, he says. Okay. I got to tell your mama something. Tell her I tried. He said, I know how it is with you and mama. He said, but he said, there's no way out. No way, no change. Told Aunt Alta, she busted out crying. She was hoping I could do something. They're reaching for straws, you know.
Yeah. Well, y'all had asked him to be my godfather when I was born.
You what?
Y'all had asked Floyd to be my godfather when
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
born.
yeah. He was Gary's godfather. That's how close we were.
Yeah.
He had a 57 Chevrolet. I'll never forget that. Pink and white. The valve, the engine was missing. We worked on it all night over here in my shop. It was something we couldn't fix. The cam was wore out on one tappet.
Oh.
The valve, that's right, the valve couldn't work. So he eventually sold that. Then later on he bought a motorcycle, pink one. He must have liked pink motor, Harley Davidson.
Yeah, an Electric Glide. I think I seen it once. I barely remembered it, but I did remember seeing it. It was under his carport in where he lived in Central. Yeah.
Yeah, he worked for AT&T or its companies all over the years. He retired from. He did pretty good.
Yeah.
He didn't know nothing about electrical, and I didn't know a darn thing about telephone. I called him a wire twister. I don't know what he called me on it. I gotta say this about my friends Tom Mobile and Gerald Boudreaux and Hubert. While I've been sick here lately, couldn't get on too much, they've been here a lot. And I go to visit them when I can.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I really appreciated that. It's been kind of, when you get immobile, it gets rough.
Yeah.
I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, though, right now. Thank goodness. And I'm going to say this on the record now. All my kids, I'm very proud of them. I'm even proud of some of their spouses.
Some of their
I got a favorite son-in-law. I don't have no favorite daughter-in-law at any given time, but once in a while can be.
You've had quite a few daughter-in-laws through the years,
yeah.
though, haven't you?
Yeah, you're right. Some of them I like to forget. But individually, the kids, I don't want to go too much into that, but I think I remember, they might remember that when they came home and they graduated, and especially that day, but I said, hey, you got all you need to make your life. I don't want to see you back here. I think they knew what I meant. That if they come to a point to where that they're sick or something like that or something they can't help, well, they come back. None of them did. Maybe it helped, I don't know. But I can, Debbie, they pick up their own bootstraps all the way through. Did fine. Larry, okay, Gary, and Barry. Barry surprised me. He wants to fix everything in his house.
Our producer's telling me that it needs to be more directed at me.
What? What's that?
The discussion.
Oh,
my junior producer over there.
I'm a senior.
You're just senior
Are
producer.
there other ones?
yeah. Barry has. You would think he's management, and I can remember one time when at the table here that management and blue collar workers were getting at it, and I told them to shut it off. You cannot win that argument. And that was the only time. It's getting serious. It's getting too serious. Well, since then, Barry has. God, don't I wipe my hands? I'm not crying. I had some of that Cervali that I put on my hand, my arm, and soap, kind of like a soap. Anyway,
It's like wiping your eyes after eating crawfish.
Huh?
It's like wiping your eyes after eating crawfish.
Yeah, I was kind of like that. And Barry's into high management now, I would say. But he's called me on how to do things, how to solve problems on mechanical and electrical. And sometimes I don't know, call Gary or call Larry, depending on what it is. And I think he's done that. And he wants to do it. And he's doing pretty good at it. So he's not just management.
Yeah. When I decided to take a job in Africa, rotating in Africa,
Yeah.
I know y'all, it made y'all nervous.
I got a statement to say about that. I says, when going to Africa? What part of Africa? Angola. Well, it really doesn't matter. When I went to Africa, it was with the whole United States Air Force backing me up. You ain't got nothing but Chevron.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's how I
And you
saw it.
can't even depend on them sometimes.
But don't think that we're not concerned about you over there. Like, concerned about Debbie. It's a different concern, but it's all there, all the kids. Larry, when his life is going to be changing here, possibly, and when it does happen, we're concerned about that.
Yeah.
And Barry, looked like he's settled down now after the third marriage. Went through a lot of rough time with that.
You'll get
Let me
to
tell you.
You'll get to talk with Barry about those things.
Yeah. He knows. I'll say it. I said, that's your life. You're my kid.
Yeah.
But there's one statement I like to make, and I always want to say this. Just because we're grandparents doesn't mean that we don't have concern about our grandkids. Although there's not a damn thing we can do about it, we still are concerned about what happens to them. That period. That's all of them. Even the great. I got to include the greats now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really mean that. I don't think you lose that. I asked Gary after Laura died, I said, what's going on with your life? Well, I'm going around the ballrooms and everything. There ain't much there, and I don't want none of that. And one day we get over there, and Mary Beth's over there sitting there. We're going to have a picnic. Who's this? He said, that's Mary Beth. The rest of the story, you know. Now, you were second best there, weren't you, after the ballroom?
So the trailer.
So that's exactly how it happened. I didn't know you. I didn't know nothing of you until we met you that day when Bill was there, too. Bill was there that day. Gary had some stuff he had put together. And what's she doing there?
Yeah. Let's back up a little bit to when when Laura and I got married. I stayed living here until after the wedding. But I had bought an old trailer that I had gotten from a pilot that worked for Mr. Bill. And it was a 12 by 50 trailer. Bought it for I think $4,500, and brought it and set it up in your yard. What did y'all think about all that?
I don't think we had too much of one opinion over another on that. I hope to think that y'all think that we allowed y'all as much leeway on your decision making as you could. There's some things we didn't, we would have rather, at the time, the decisions you made, maybe we could have been a little bit better. I'm gonna give you an example of that, and I got to use Debbie. When Debbie and them got married, they went to that. Remember, I told you that place that y'all stayed at is an industrial area. And I pulled Rocky and Debbie aside. I said, I don't know if they remember that. I don't like the area, but that's your decision. But I said, if you want to move, I'll advance the finance a little bit more so you can move out of this area, so you don't feel you have to stay there. Now that was I seldom do that, but that was me going into rather than them coming to me.
Well, and I think
It's kind of uncomfortable in a way,
And I
but
think
that
it's-
shows the concern.
and I think it's a little different with a daughter than it would have been
Doesn't
with
matter.
a son.
Doesn't matter. You came here, you were here. That's fine. When you left, it's like your mama said. It's your decision. Yeah, I would have wanted you to stay, but it kind of, I guess it kind of thought about it for a while, but then eventually it's your decision.
Mhm.
I did pretty well what I wanted to all my life without nobody telling me what to do too much. I took some advice, some I didn't. And it goes back to what Aunt Nook said about me one time. Never thought you'd amount to a hill of beans at some point.
Aunt Nook.
Yeah, yeah. We were kind of close a little bit because we're on the same birth date,
Mhm.
11 years apart.
Aunt Nook is
Aunt Nook is my mama's brother's wife,
Mama's brother's wife.
Jim.
Okay.
Jim's
Uncle,
wife.
Uncle Jim. Yes.
And when do I insert Charlene in there? With you or
whenever
anyone?
whenever you want.
I was 7 years old when we took Charlene, my first cousin, daughter of mama's brother Claude. And she's like a sister. She's not biological, but everything is the same as it would be. And up and through today. And one of the best things she's done for me is when mama was completely bedridden for about 3 weeks, and she moved in on her own. I didn't have to ask her. I said, that's a lot. So even if she hadn't done nothing else, that was a lot right there. So
What more do you have to say about your mom?
mama, mama and papa let me do what I wanted. That's maybe one of the problems when I was young. I wouldn't have allowed this to happen, but they did. I went to work at Camp Bayou Corn when I was 15 years old, sometime working under Uncle Edmond, Mama's brother, who was kind of the all-around man over there, helping out with boiling crawfish and hauling crabs and everything else from different places. And I worked behind the bar at 15 years old. I was a bartender by 16. Those days, the law overlooked it. But if I'd have known y'all were doing that, I wouldn't allow y'all to do that. But then you, because Uncle Edmond was over there. That's the
Yeah.
key.
Yeah.
The trust, a lot of trust in those days.
Now I know it's totally different, but I went to work at Bayou Corn at I think I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
cleaning the campgrounds and picking up bingo trash.
You never worked behind the bar, though.
No. We'd go get people drinks to bring them to them while they played bingo, though.
Well, at 16, I was driving a 39 Dodge, bringing the cooks and the waitresses back home every night after work on the weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And he had a 49 Chevrolet truck. The old man, Mr. Louis Oakwan, had a 49 Chevrolet truck that I'd take 6 drums, 6 55-gallon drums, put them in the back and go to the Zalman over there and pick up 6 drums full of crabs and bring them back, and Uncle Edmond would bar them. Can you imagine? 16 years old.
Yeah.
I don't think Mama and Papa should have allowed that.
Yeah. I know we're bouncing around a little bit, but toward the end of your career, toward the end of your working career, you were working prisoner transport, working for Mr. Tom.
Yeah, my duties were, he started me off. He didn't have enough money, but then eventually Mike LeBlanc, his finance officer, had enough money, so he pulled me in. Then he needed some carpenter work done to build an office for the computer man, the same man, like Mike LeBlanc, under the steps at the courthouse. So me and Charles Mobile built that. And an office ready to use. Then he pulled me off of that. He put me on prisoner transport. And went all over the state, sometimes out of state. I enjoyed that job. Then about 8 months before he pulled me out of there, he says, I need you to be my, I guess he called it, I don't know what he called it then, but it's chief of staff, I guess. I want you to run things. I said, Tom, it ain't gonna work. He said, why not? I said, because you still got your nephew there stuck between me and you, and I can't put policies out there. I can't show authority to those people out there until they know he's not in charge of them. I was right. I tried. They knew better. They come to me with a situation. I had to, okay, wait a while, I'm going to have to go see about it. Because I didn't have the authority.
Yeah.
I'll show you how much authority I had. One of the deputies took a woman deputy who had been raped by a male deputy to Thibodeau, get a rape kit. He was on his way back. One of my deputies who I trusted told me what was happening. I called that man up and I said, come directly to my office at the jail where I had my office at the time. He didn't. He went up to the DA's office instead. When he came in, finally came in, I had already had Tom there. I said, Bruce, when he opened my door to my office, I said, don't go no further. I want to tell you this. If I had the authority right now, I'd can your butt. You'd be going out right now. You do not answer to two people. You answer to the man who signs your check. This man right here. Well, Tom didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
That's how I was. I called it like I saw it. But somehow my brand of black or white don't apply. It's always gray. Like it was with Murray when I was assistant chief.
So you were lawnmower repairman, electrician, plant operator for a little bit of time.
A what?
A plant operator for a little bit of time in Alamania.
No, I didn't operate no plant. Oh, I was a beater. I was a shipping.
It's similar to an operator.
Well, I guess that operated the whole plant by myself.
And then of course, deputy sheriff, prisoner transport, or patrol deputy. Of those which one would you say you found the most rewarding?
The deputy sheriff job. And I would have liked to have seen if Tom would have backed me up, how far this would have gone. I told him, I said, if you give me full authority at the time, under you, I know who's boss. You're the boss. If you allow me to do what needs to be done, I'll do it. But I says, if you do this, you need to get yourself an in-house lawyer in the office. And I need to give all my stuff that I own to my kids. Because we're going to get sued. I can see it coming. The DA was against him. He's putting pressure on Tom and all that. I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But I says, I'm willing to try it. He can't hurt me because I'm not going to do nothing wrong. He might threaten me like he threatened him, but he had no basis to threaten him. But indictment is almost as bad as conviction.
Yeah.
So he was going to threaten to indict Tom. I don't want to go into that, but if there's no basis, the DA used that, Falterman. Don't like him. Still don't like him today. Well, anyway, that would have been most rewarding because I asked Lonnie Mobile, one of the deputies at the time that was working with Tom, the only one that supported him through the election they lost, besides me and 3 or 4 others. I said, Lonnie, after a few years he was on with Mike Waggersback, we won the election. I said, may I ask you a question? I said, the deputies that were on at the time, and you were there, I said, what would have happened if they would have known that I was directly under Tom? Lonnie Collier wasn't in between us. I said, you think they would have followed me oh yeah, they'd have followed you. He said, I know that. I talked to 3 or 4 of them. But they could see you did not have the authority.
Yeah.
I said, well, that's pleasing in a way, but I said, it's kind of late. But I said, I would have loved to have gone through that. And he says, he said, Mike Waggersback should have kept you on. He said, Mike didn't know you. He said, if he'd have known you, he said he's doing better than what he done at the beginning. No, I'm happy. Very happy.
Is there anything else that
Well, my hobbies, I love to fish. I like to garden, but I ain't fished in almost 5 years now. The garden is going out this spring. I'm getting better though.
anything toward me? Is what he's asking.
I can still talk.
Yeah.
I met the Governor Edwards about 3 times, going to celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion of him is he flaunted the federal government too much. If he hadn't done that, I think he'd won. He could have stayed in.
Mm-hmm.
He thumbed his nose at him.
Yeah.
He did that. He was, anyway, I won't go too deep into that. As far as the other politics that some people I didn't like, I let them know about it. Falterman I don't like, he knows. That's, I don't know of anything else right now. I'm happy with my life and my families, including the spouses. When they get out of line, I'll let them know.
All right.
That's about it. Thank you, Jared.
Yeah, this is something he wanted to do. He brought it up, but I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
I mean, in 20 years, his kids will be asking, well, what was your grandpa like? Well, here, let me let you listen to him. Let me let you see him. At first, he wasn't going to do the video. I said, you got to put a camera up there.
I pretty well explained my position on Grandpa, and
Yeah.
I mean, that's normal. I would think anybody that cares would feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, y'all are out there, but even though y'all out there, we want to know what's going on, but we don't want to be inquisitive to the point to where you say back off.
Yeah.
And y'all gonna find that out. You might be finding some of that out right now with yours.
Oh yeah.
They're good. They're good, but they got their own lives, their own way about
Yeah.
doing things. It may be a little different than yours, but you're still concerned.
Yeah, we're always watching to see. You know, we want to be as helpful as possible, but we don't want to be intrusive.
That's something I should have included.
Well, you got 3 more interviews, Daddy.
No, I'm very proud of with that spouse
Well, you should be.
and the boys. Really, that's what I'm getting at.
You should
And
be.
boys
You
are
got
something to
all
be
good
proud
ones.
of. But y'all both take credit for
Even
that.
the producer's good.